Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Diaz Renee. We're back with another sports talk video. So we're going to talk about the games. Yesterday, that was one. So first, Texas ended up beating Illinois 65-48 and the regional championship. So they are moving on to the Sweet 16. Next, we had USC ended up beating Mississippi 59-96. However, JUJU Watkins, it's now been announced that she has a torn ACL. In the first half of the game, she came down, was attacking the rim. Chandler Prater on Mississippi State was like guarding her, but then somehow she kind of went down and she needed some assistance helping get up. She instantly reached and grabbed her knee, and it has been reported as of now, allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly, she has torn her ACL. However, in that game, her teammates stepped up and they helped her as she has, and they came through for her as she has come through for them so many times. KiKi came through the biggest for JUJU. I feel like as soon as JUJU got injured, they kind of was lost in the days a little bit on offense, but on the defensive end, they were able to have some success. Considering JUJU really is their offense, they looked a little kind of dazed in the beginning, but Mississippi State did not take advantage of the fact that USC looked out of sorts. And after JUJU was hurt, they didn't take advantage of that. They looked out of sorts still too. But KiKi ended up with 36 points and playing her 31 minutes. That's more than 1 point a minute. KiKi was hooping. She was hitting the mid-ranges. She was just hooping, and she was playing to her best of abilities. Even though JUJU went out in the first quarter, they still showed up for her, and now they're going to move on and play UConn. And I want to talk a little bit about what I feel like that will look going forward. Now, I do feel that UConn is going to win, considering the fact that JUJU is not going to be playing the rest of the season. However, I do feel like UConn is going to have some trouble stopping KiKi. KiKi got in a mode that was like unstoppable. They was not able to stop her under no circumstance. I feel like if she plays with that type of tenacity and aggression and look like she was having fun, I feel like USC will most definitely have a chance. Now, considering the facts, overall, I still think JUJU is the player of the year, regardless. I don't think it's Paige. I don't think it's anybody but JUJU. JUJU it's not even an argument. She was the best player all year. In the offseason, even in postseason, until now, of her getting hurt, she deserves the player of the year. She is the player of the year. Regardless of her injury status, of anything at any point, she was the player of the year, no matter what. But prayers to JUJU. Hope she has a speedy recovery. Hopefully, it's not as terrible, even though torn ACL is a torn ACL. But just prayers to her in her mental capacity, because if you don't know, JUJU is very much obsessed with basketball. Like, she's always in the gym. She loves being in the gym, consistently in the gym. She's always working, so prayers to her. But they did end up winning. Next, we have NC State, which I told y'all that three-headed monster is unstoppable when they get going. They ended up dang near blowing out, well, they did blow them out, but almost beating them by 40. But them girls is hooping. NC State, them girls being hooping. Sanaya Rivers and Madison Hayes both had 17, and then Isaiah James had 26 points. That three-headed monster that I be telling y'all about. And then Zoe Brooks did not have a super great game. Although she played 26 minutes, she didn't have a really great game, but NC State has a lot of weapons. I could definitely see NC State going to the Final Four because they have a lot of offensive weapons, and when they lock in defensively as well, it's like they literally have a three-headed monster. I include Zoe, but Madison Hayes can get going as well too. Next, we got UConn. UConn ended up beating South Dakota, which knew that was gonna happen. UConn hasn't really had any competition thus far in the tournament. Their competition was going to be USC, but I am a little nervous about JUJU being hurt and how USC is going to choose to show up if the game is going to be a blowout. But I really wanted to see that game versus Paige. I wanted JUJU to get her revenge tour and beat UConn, which I thought she would have did. Next, we have Iowa versus Oklahoma. That game was really, really, really close. Oh, no. That game was not close. Oklahoma ended up taking the W 96-62 versus Iowa. The game was close at halftime. That's what I mean. The game was close, and then Oklahoma kind of took its stretch, and they ended up getting the W. Overall, Iowa did very well. For a lot of people to talk about Iowa and them not having Caitlin Clark anymore, they did very well. To not still have Caitlin Clark, they still went further. I feel like Iowa is still going to be talked about because they do have some good players on there. But Oklahoma, collectively, overall, they had a great team win. It was a lot of people that was in double digits, people that had 17, 16, 13. Like, it was a collective win for them. Then we had LSU. They ended up beating Florida State 101-71. Flau'jae was hooping, of course. Well, she was hooping, but she wasn't going super crazy. But just, I feel like Flau'jae's energy for the team is what makes her great. Like, she brings them energy. Even though she had 13 points, she just plays with so much energy. Now, Anissa Morrow had 26. Anissa was hooping. And then Samaya Smith had 20. And then Miss Mikaylah Williams, the shooter. I want to call her the female kind of KD. But she just is really good. She had 28 points. So she was that scorer of that game. Next, we had North Carolina. They ended up beating West Virginia 58-47. Don't sleep on North Carolina now. Now, I know everybody's been talking about everybody else, but a lot of people are not talking about North Carolina. North Carolina is a decent team. Alyssa Usby had 21 points. Alyssa is a very good. She was good when her and Deja Kelly were playing off each other. But North Carolina has won, and so they're moving on to the next round. The last game, which went into OT, which that game was crazy. Alabama versus Maryland, which Maryland's coach, y'all heard her talking, if you were watching the game, telling them, y'all ain't did nothing yet. Y'all think y'all did something by getting here? You have not did nothing until that buzzer is done, and then we're moving on to the next thing. Matter of fact, y'all not even haven't did nothing until we are at the championship. So she fueled them at halftime, and Cheyenne Sellers had 28. Kayleen Milky had 24. Sarah had 26, and then everybody else kind of followed in line. But it was a good team win for them overall. I feel like Alabama had a decent run. They fought hard to the end, but in the end, Maryland won in OT. So, shouts out to them. But now, JUJU, prayers to JUJU once again. Although she's torn her ACL, I don't like when they freaking keep the camera on a player that's hurt. Like, move the camera. We don't want to see nobody hurt or in pain. That is devastating. So, with that being said, now I'm going to tell you guys who is in the Sweet 16 and what these games look like coming up. So, today's Tuesday, March 25th. No games for March and Thursday for the NCAA tournament. However, on Friday, the games start. We're going to have North Carolina versus Duke, which that game is going to be crazy. That's going to be a crazy game because Duke and North Carolina are literally rivals. So, them playing in the Sweet 16 is going to be, it's going to be crazy. Duke versus North Carolina, I feel like it's going to be a really, really, really good game. Next, we got Maryland versus South Carolina. I have South Carolina. Oh, I didn't say who I have. I'm going to go North Carolina versus Duke. I'm going to pick Duke. Maryland versus South Carolina. I'm going to go South Carolina. LSU versus NC State. I'm going to go NC State. NC State has been hooping. And if all four of them can have a good game, Zoe, Sanaya Rivers, and the whole rest of the team can have the four-headed monster, can have a great game, they beat LSU. Then we got Ole Miss versus UCLA. I got UCLA. Next, on Saturday, Sweet 16, Notre Dame versus TCU. I got Notre Dame. Haley Van Lith can't handle Hannah Hidalgo. Hannah Hidalgo is going to be all up in her grill and locking her up. And then on a defensive, offensive end, she's going to attack Haley because Haley can't keep up with her speed. And then on top of that, Olivia Miles is still playing as well. It's Notre Dame all the day. Notre Dame's going to beat TCU. Then we got Tennessee versus Texas. I have Texas, and I have that it's going to be a very low-scoring game. But I do have Texas. Oklahoma versus UConn. I have UConn, of course. And then we have K-State versus USC. I still have USC. Although I feel like K-State is good. Well, actually, K-State might end up beating USC just because JUJU's not there. I don't know if they were motivated by the fact that JUJU was hurt. But, like, starting the game from, like, literally game to finish without JUJU. But KiKi, I'm going to still go with USC. Because I feel like KiKi is just, she might get in her Stanford mode. When she was in Stanford, she was hooping. And so, yeah, then after that is Sundays to be determined for the Elite Eight. But those are the games in my picks and why I choose to pick them. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tune into my next video. And prayers for JUJU and a speedy recovery for her. Peace.